Morning, TCCA. Thank you so much for joining us today for TCCA 2020 on our 10th anniversary. My name is Kelly Smith, and I am your host for this session. We have a co-host behind the scenes, Brooke Martin. Thank you very much for joining us today. If you have comments or questions, please post them in the chat, and I see many of you are joining us already. Now, before we get started, before I introduce our presenters, let me just tell you that at the end of the session, please do not ask for the password or the super secret word of this session. I will let you know what it is before we end the session so that you can get your certificate for attending this session. Okay? Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Lynnette Sepulveda and Stephanie Flores. They are both coming to us live from Aldine ISD. So let's welcome Lynnette and Stephanie. All right, ladies, take it away.
All right, so we'd like to welcome you here. Thank you for joining us today. We will be working with Nearpod, so we have the code here posted for you. So all you need to do is go to join.nearpod.com and put in the code QYNMP. This is live and interactive, so please make sure that you join so that you can be part of all the fun activities. This is also a make and take, so you will be leaving with resources started, understanding them a little bit better, and being a part of the Nearpod community by the end. So please make sure that you join in with us there so that you can fully participate. Stephanie will also be working with us with the YouTube chat. So if you have any issues there, she's going to be jumping in there. I am a third grade teacher at Orange Grove Elementary. I teach bilingual students, so we are going to use some ESL strategies today. And Stephanie and I are partners there. I do the reading, writing, and social studies. So I'll let her introduce herself as well.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. So yes, Lynnette and I are partners, and I'm the math and science component of our co-teaching. Super excited to be here with you today, and we hope that you walk away with many good tools and strategies.
Right, so I did make this the first slide of the Nearpod. So if you are coming into the Nearpod, you're probably seeing, okay, I've already joined. Why is this code still here? That is the first slide just for this moment, but I am going to take it away and we'll start the presentation. If you do still need the code, I believe Stephanie's putting it into YouTube, the link, so that you can get to that as needed. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this away. Putting it into YouTube, the link, so that you can get to that as needed. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this away. Into YouTube, the link, so that you can get to that as needed. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this away. Into YouTube, the link, so that you can get to that as needed. Okay, Stephanie, I think there is a little bit of feedback since you're watching YouTube as well. I don't know if you want to mute yourself in. Okay, Stephanie, there we go. All right, so I've pulled that away. We're going to go ahead and start the presentation. So the name of this presentation is Cooperative Learning with Nearpod. So we will be using Nearpod throughout the lesson, not only for us to interact, but also you'll be getting into Nearpod to create your own Nearpod today. So you really want to make sure that you have joined us completely with Nearpod. Again, that link is in YouTube. So if you need that, the code is also QYNMP. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So first of all, we have here our introduction of who we are and the hashtag, because we like to Twitter. So if you tweet, please make sure to include us. We have the hashtag TCCA 2020, as well as there are our handles. So please make sure to tweet out and let us know how everything's going.
So by the end of this presentation, we want you to know how to incorporate learning strategies and lessons to increase EL interactions. We want you to understand the many ways Nearpod can be used to create opportunities for cooperative learning. We want you to be able to create your own Nearpod activities to promote cooperative learning. So our SIOP component connection is interaction and strategies.
So in this slide, we have some quotes that were taken out of some research that we did. So I want you to think about these for a second. It is recommended that English learners have daily opportunities to talk about content in pairs or small groups, practicing and extending material already taught. So that we want this to be a daily opportunity. Also, researchers have found that English learners were more engaged academically when working in small groups or with partners than they were in whole class instruction or individual work. So this has much more impact than a whole group discussion or a whole group lesson. So here's where the interaction begins with Nearpod. So I have a question for all of you. How can cooperative learning happen virtually? Many of us are living in a virtual or a hybrid, or maybe some of us are lucky to all be face-to-face, but many of us are still living in this virtual world of teaching. How can this happen virtually? How can we provide our EL students with this opportunity when we're all on a computer screen? So to interact with Nearpod, all you need to do is come down here to where it says share thoughts and our images here. You can share your ideas. So I see some people are already jumping in to add some ideas. It should show up on the screen here in just a second. My teacher version is popping up. So hopefully this will soon come through so you can see their responses as well. But all you need to do is click down here with your ideas. You can also add images. So if you would prefer to speak in pictures, you are welcome to click here on the little box where it has the image, and you can start to search Google to find images that also support. And you can do both. So if you would prefer to type and put a picture, you can do both of those. So those are both options. So I do have some answers coming in. I guess my screen is delayed though on you being able to see it. Hopefully you can see it on your version. So you could use Nearpod or Flipgrid. You can have breakout rooms, chat boxes and polls on Google Meet, whiteboards, even using whiteboards at home. That's a great idea. Have them share on their screen. Breakout rooms, Pear Deck, a chat box. So a lot of you are saying a chat box. Having shared Google Slides, so they're all working. Edpuzzle, Google Slides. So you guys have a lot of great ideas here to what you're thinking to make this all possible. So I know we've all been experimenting. We've been trying to find ways to make this happen. So I'll give you just 10 seconds to finish up your ideas. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. So I saw a couple of other ideas come up. Zoom whiteboards, Jamboard. So different whiteboard versions that are out there. Breakout rooms came up a few more times. So lots of great ideas. So I'm going to show you today how you can do this with Nearpod. So we're going to go ahead and move to the next slide. Sorry if I cut you off. So the first thing that you should see coming up, and mine looks a little different because I already belong to Nearpod, but it may have come up on your screen that you need to log into Nearpod for you to sign up. So I'm already logged in, so it's coming right to my library that I have already created. But on your screen, you should see, if you already belong to Nearpod, that you can sign in, or you should be seeing that you can sign up for free. So you want to go ahead and work with that to sign up for free so that you can join in. Or if you're already a member, go ahead and get to your library because we're going to be using Nearpod today. I want to make sure that you can do it. So there are some limitations when you're signing up for free to what you can do. So I have the top membership. My district is amazing here at Aldine. And because I have such an interest in Nearpod, they have let me go to the top. So I have all the features, but don't worry, there is plenty that you can do even with the free version. So go ahead and sign up for free as a teacher so that you can go ahead and get all of these resources that are available on the free version. If you are again already signed up, go ahead and find your screen that's with your library. So I'll give everyone maybe 30 seconds to a minute to go ahead and make sure that you are in Nearpod. So I've put this right into the Nearpod. If you are having troubles with that, though, you can just click another tab and go to nearpod.com and go ahead and join as well to sign up. All right. So I'll just explain a little bit of my screen while you're getting set up. So there are some different options here that you can see on the side. You have a library where you're going to house the lessons that you make. You have reports, so you can receive the information back from the lessons that you make. There's sub-plans. So if you want to leave plans for someone else to take over your class. You might also have additional libraries once you get started, a school or a district one. And then there are some resources available as well. There's a vocabulary video pack as well as teacher resources to help you. So they have many resources already made as well as a lot of help videos and sessions. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. So hopefully you've gotten in so that we can start to play around with Nearpod because this is a make and take. I'm going to go ahead and move on. Okay, so there are two ways to create a Nearpod lesson. You have two options if you click on Create. One is to make lessons right within Nearpod, or you can make lessons in Google Slides. So I'm going to be demoing both kind of back and forth. I do use both. There are moments when it works so much better to just go ahead and make it inside Nearpod. And there are moments when it's so much easier to go ahead and make it within Google Slides. So I am honestly not a one side or the other person. I think they both have a purpose and they're both helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in myself to nearpod.com. And it's going to log me right in. So if you find on your folder there, it says Create plus Folder. So if you go ahead and click on Create, you can see that same setup that I just showed on the slide. You have Lessons or Google Slides. So I'm just going to show you how these look differently. So if I go ahead and click on Lessons, clicking on that. So now it has opened up a new lesson, and this is within Nearpod. So you can give it a title if you'd like. You just click here right on the title, and you can change it right there. So Nearpod presentation, I'll call this one. Okay. And then you can just click here to add slides. And I'll show you some different versions of slides we're going to add in just a moment, but just have the screen ready and going so that you can work with it. The other option that you have, so I'm going to again go to nearpod.com to show the other option, is that you can go to Create and click on Google Slides. Okay, so it's going to take me to Google Slides. You could also just work directly within Google Slides, but you're going to see that it pops up a little bit of an explanation screen to help you with that and welcomes you to Google Slides. When you're doing this, you're going to need to make sure that you have an add-on. So to get the add-on, you're going to need to come here to the top and click Add-ons. I already have Nearpod here as one of my add-ons, but you may not. So if you need that, you just need to click Get Add-ons, and then you can search for Nearpod. So then you just search the apps, find Nearpod. And there it shows up, and then you can just add that. So I already have it, so I'm not going to go ahead and add it, but you can add it right there if you don't have it. So once you have that, you're just going to click on Add-ons, Nearpod, and then Open Nearpod. So if you find one more confusing than the other, and today you only want to focus on one, I completely understand. Some of us may be ready to try out something new, so I am going to toggle between the two versions, but I want you to understand there is nothing that says you must use both. So if you find one more comfortable than the other, by all means, do not overwhelm yourself today. So again, there are two options: using it within Nearpod or using it within Google Slides. And again, I'll show you where that is. So if you go to nearpod.com, you've already signed in, you're already to your library, then you have an option where it says Create, and you can pick Lessons, which does it right inside Nearpod, or Google Slides, which takes you out and into Google Slides. Just remember, if you are in Google Slides, you do need to use the add-on. So add-on, Nearpod, open Nearpod. Okay. So I realize we don't have a lot of feedback here between each other, but I'm going to hope that at this point you are at a place that you are ready to go to the next step. So I'm going to go ahead back to the Nearpod presentation. I am the queen of tabs, so I'm very sorry if you feel like you're starting to get a lot of tabs up there. Hopefully we can all work together to manage them. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so the first feature that we're going to learn about that we can use to create that collaboration and interacting with our students is one we've already tried out, is the Collaborate board. So the Collaborate board allows students to learn together by sharing ideas and building on them. So we're going to go ahead and try this out. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to jump back to my Nearpods that I'm creating. So in the Nearpod presentation, to add a discussion board, all you need to do is go here where it says Add Slide. And then you see a screen pop up with a lot of different options. The first one is Content. The second one is Activities. So go ahead and click on Activities. When you come inside Activities, you see an array of options here. One we're focusing on right now is the Collaborate board. So all you need to do is click Collaborate board. And you see this screen pop up that helps you to know how to set it up. So all you need to do is come here to the top part and you're going to enter a topic. So you're going to put the title. Now this has only a 60 character option. So you want to keep that short and sweet. The next line has 300. You can put all your directions in there. So I'm just going to call mine, Share Your Ideas. Then you're going to come down to the second line, and this is where you can give them the directions of what you want to do. Post your ideas. You can add thoughts and pictures. So there's some things that you can do. You can also add an image here to the side to direct them. So I can click on that and I can search through Google to find images, or you can even tap or drag and drop images from your computer. So you have that versatility. I could spell, that would help. There we go. So I'm looking for idea images here. Let's see. Oh, I like this one with all the light bulbs over top of their heads. Okay, then you're going to slide down to the bottom and you can see there's many, many pages of images that you could look for. Once you have it, you're just going to click Save. And now that has popped in there. Once I have all my ideas in place of what I want on here, I'm just going to click Save. And now that Collaborate board is here within the presentation within Nearpod that I'm creating. So it kind of lines up your slides for you. If you want to edit that at any time, you just click on it twice, you do a double click, and then it opens up again. Okay, so now I'm going to jump over to Google Slides so you can see how it's a little bit different there. So I'm going to delete this first slide with my directions. And now I'm going to go, I have my add-on already open. And you can see right here on the add-on, there's a Collaborate board button as well. Looks just like it does in the other section. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that as well. And you'll notice it looks very similar to what we just saw. So you can also click the same way. And you can go through the same exact steps. So that's what's great, that it looks exactly the same in this part of it so that you can easily adapt to one version or the other. Now, here's where it starts to look a little bit different. Once I've decided on that, I click Save. So it takes a little bit moment to load. And then it is going to add this in as a slide. Please be careful when you have these in here. These will not work in a present mode of using Google Slides, nor can you copy and paste them. So if I want to use this Collaborate board again in another presentation, you can't just click right click and copy or Control C and copy and paste, it won't follow it through. It will treat it just like an image. So you must use the add-on each time to do that. So just kind of a warning there. I've tried that before. It didn't work out too well. So just so you know, it does take it as an image when you copy and paste it into another slide. All right, so now we have tried out a Collaborate board. So I'm going to head back to the Nearpod. Okay, so let's talk about some ideas that we have now. So what are some ways students can share here? Thinking about a discussion board, think about different ways, be creative to how you could use this in the classroom or in the virtual classroom. Explain different ways that this board could be used. How could students share? What could they share? So think about that. What are some ideas of how you could make this work in the classroom, and how could you creatively expand what it is able to be used for? So go ahead, you can click here for sharing your thoughts and type some in. You can add images if you like. So whatever you want to do, you have the creativity freedom to do what you like. Creative freedom is here.
Somebody shared using an exit ticket summarizing the lesson. It's a great idea. Peer feedback. Online resources with URLs.
I have not done that. Ooh.
Yeah, me either. They're going to teach us something today. I like that. Sentence stems and questions, leveled questioning with their answers for other students, share about their writing and check for understanding, peer revision and editing. Great ideas.
Okay, I'm going to rock your world with something that we have tried. I don't have it today to demo, but if you come to our next session at 10, you will see it in action. We have actually had students complete a digital graphic organizer, download it onto their computer, and then post it as a JPEG so that you could post completed graphic organizers on this.
And they actually did it. It worked really well.
Just if you want to see that in action, we do have that in our next session. But that is something of taking it a little bit farther. Like, how could you have something they're doing saved as an image so that then it could be posted here?
Somebody said embedded gamification.
Ooh.
I have not tried that.
And just another tip too, if you ever need to see an image larger that they post or is even in your directions, you can click on it and it will make it larger. So for example, if someone posted like that graphic organizer, it's going to show super tiny here. But once you click on it, it will make it larger so that you can see. And you can do that when you're looking at others' work too. All right, I love all these great ideas for learning. So I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off. I am going to move ahead to the next slide. So the next item that we're going to look at is how we can share documents, sheets, slides, or drawings. So different opportunities for sharing these Google documents, sheets, slides, drawings, whatever, all of these in their ability to be shared among other people and how that can be used in a collaborative setting and can be added into a Nearpod. So we're going to start layering some apps. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back to Nearpod so I can show you how that can be done. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to again click add a slide. And this time we're going to be looking at content. So one way that you can do this is you can add web content. So if you click on web content, you can add a URL for the share of one of your Google Docs. So when you're creating your Google Docs, you have a share option. So I'll go ahead and show that from my drive so you can see how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and click into my drive. Okay, so I'm in my drive. I'm going to create a new document. So let's just make it a Google Doc. So now that I'm in my document, I'm just going to give it a name. I'll just stick with this Nearpod presentation. And then I want to share this document with other students so that they can participate of adding things to it. So I'm just going to come here to the share. And I don't know about you, but my students, they sometimes come on with their mom's phone or all different ways that they're coming in. So they're not always working with the school email address. So I've just found it easier to say anyone with the link. And that way I know that they're going to be able to get in. So I'm going to click copy link now that I've changed that setting and click done. So now I know anybody can get in as long as they have the link. Then I'm going to come back to my Nearpod presentation and I'm just going to paste that share right in there. So now I have that sharing link right in there. You can test your link to make sure that it works just by clicking on test this link, and then it will open that up into a new tab to make sure that it's working. Always a good thing to double check. After you've done that, then you can click save. And now that website has been saved right into your Nearpod. So that way, when you are coming through the Nearpod, it will pop up directly on their screen and they will be able to use it right there. It works the same way pretty much when you are working with Google Slides. So again, you're going to come here to your Nearpod add-on and you're going to find the website. Web content, there it is. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And I'm going to, again, paste that link right in and click save. Of course, testing it out first to make sure it works. And then again, it's showing up as a Nearpod component. And that makes it readily available now to your students. So I have one in here that we can try out. So I'm going to go ahead and click to the next slide. Okay, so I have decided to share with you a Google Draw. So this can be used kind of like a whiteboard. You were speaking of all different whiteboard options. So you can use this as a whiteboard feature. And I see you're all popping in. Hopefully we don't overload Google here. And what you can do is then add your ideas. So Nearpod can. So there's text box feature that you can add. If you want this to be like drawing, you just have to come here to the line, click down, and one of the options is scribble. And then you can draw. I'm not very good at drawing. I have found issues with adding images. It says I can search the web, but every time I do that, I get this frowny face guy here in the corner. I'm not really sure why that happens yet, so I've been trying to figure out why it won't let me, but that seems to be an issue every time. So, unfortunately. But you can go ahead and use all of the other features, and if you get this to work, wonderful, because I haven't been able to figure it out yet. But I love how we're adding different, yes, there's different shapes you can add too, so you can go to shapes. So try and find a corner of the board. I know there's a lot of us in here. So Nearpod can just finish that sentence stem. Oops, somebody's in my box. Yeah, I see somebody put a picture in and there's a question of how did you get it to work? Now, I have been able to grab pictures from out of like just going in Google search and copy and paste and put them in. So I don't know if they did that workaround, but I can't seem to get it to work inside here. But I have gotten it to do a copy and paste in. All right, so we're getting tons of ideas. Just a recommendation. I wouldn't recommend on a regular basis doing this with almost 70 people, but it would work with maybe a smaller group of children. Yeah, we're kind of overlapping each other, but it looks neat. You've also realized you can go beyond the background here of the space. So some of you have gone outside of the whiteboard box. That works too. So you're welcome to go outside of the space. But if you are limited in what resources you can use for a whiteboard, but your district does support Google, this is an option that you have. I know in our district, we're being very careful to what privacy rules are in place, but we do support all of the Google Suite. So this would be an option that you would be able to use. So I have used this with the kids. It does get a little messy sometimes with them too, but we're all learning. All right, so you have figured out a lot of different things here of how you can put things in. I love this. All right, I'll give you 10 seconds to wrap up your ideas here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, sorry to cut you off. Here we go. Okay, so the next thing that we've come to is some of the things that you have already been telling me about, these breakout rooms. So a breakout room is this virtual setting for collaborative learning. So there are some options to how to make this work. Some of you have different resources in your toolbox that you can use. Zoom makes it super easy, but I know in our district we are limited. We are only allowed to use Google Meet or the discussion within Schoology. So I know that can make things a little bit difficult. So we have been working to find a workaround until Google Meet has some smooth breakout room applications. There is an add-on, but it's not much different than what I'm going to show you today. So you can do it that way. And you can also discuss and create right inside those Google Docs, as I saw some of you starting to chat or post comments. So you can also do it within the document itself. So there's some different ways to how you can organize your groups. You could assign your groups ahead, and then you can link within that with words or images to get your kids to go to that breakout room. Now, I don't know about you, but some days I have 10 kids, some days I have 20 kids, some days that kid shows up, some days they don't. So I never know who's coming to my live sessions. Now, if we're in the classroom and we're using this idea, it might work a little bit easier because we relatively know who's going to come. And if it's an absent, it's 1 or 2. But online, we never really know who's going to be coming in. So I prefer to do a student self-select way of doing things. This way you have a menu board of choices. However, I always make them know that there can only be so many students in the group. The other thing I've done is I've counted off students. So you're group 1, you're group 2, just counting them off, and then label my groups by numbers. They sometimes forget their number, though, even virtually, as they do in the classroom. So that can get a little messy, too. But what is not messy is not fun. So I'm going to show you today how you can add this option in to make these breakout rooms. I'm going to use Google Meet because that's what we use in our district. If you have something else you use, by all means, go with that. Might be easier than what I'm going to show you anyway. But I'm trying to make this happen with Google Meets as it is right now. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to look at is how to put this into the Nearpod. So you can add links within Nearpod within the presentation, and you can add them as with different choices. We did the web content that there was only one link. So I'm going to show you how you can add multiple link options. So you're going to go ahead and add a slide. When you add a slide, you're this time going to add a slide. So we're going to click on slide. This is to add content. When this comes up, you can use these for any slide that you want to create. In this situation today, though, we're going to add a link. So with this option here, you can change the different colors that it has. There's different formats already set up for you. I guess I like the green today. And then you can add a title. So let's say breakout rooms. Okay, then when you come down here to the bottom, there's some different options to what you can add. So you can just drop a file here and it'll put it. You can upload a file, or if you click the plus, there's some different options that you can put in there. And one of those options is a text. So I'm going to go ahead and click text. So with text, we're going to add in some different links here. So I need to first create my Google Meet links that I want to go in there. So I'm going to go ahead and open a new tab, and I'm going to go to meet.google.com. And I'm going to just click join or start a meeting. So I can decide to make a nickname for this if I want my kids to have a nickname to come into it. So maybe I want it to be group 1, or maybe I just want it to purely be a link. So if I don't want it to have a nickname, all I have to do is click continue. Okay, and once that comes in, I'm gonna turn this off so we don't get some feedback. I have some options here for my meeting, as well as the link is up here at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and just right click and copy that meeting link. And I'm going to go back into my Nearpod. Then I'm going to go ahead and just do a Control B to paste. And now this link is inside of this slide. And I would repeat that with all of my options. So maybe I want this to say group 1. Oops. And that would be an option of their link. And then I would continue that with group 2. And with each one, I would have to open up another meet and create that other meet. This is where things can get a little messy, because if you're doing this, that means that you need to have open all of those tabs of all of those breakout rooms so that you can go in and monitor each one of those. I know Zoom makes it so pretty and smooth. Google Meets hopefully will soon get there. So we're hoping to get to that point. But for now, this is how we can work around that. So that's how you would post those links out to those kids to get in from Nearpod, the presentation itself. So I'm going to click Save and Exit. And we click Save. And that's going to go ahead and save that into that slide. Now, if we want to do this within a Google slide, we have a few different options here. This can get a little more interesting. So the first thing that we can do is, well, we need to add a slide here. So I'm going to insert, or no, right here, right click, and I want a new slide. So I have a new slide here. You could have a pretty background. You want to click background and add, I'll just do a color for now. I guess I'm green today. Okay, so but you can be much more versatile with what you're putting in here, because now you're in Google Slides. You can add images, you can add all sorts of things to make it more interesting. But let's say I want to hold that same thing in a text. So I'm just going to click a text box. And then I'm going to call this, well, let's make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to call this in, again, breakout rooms. And this time I'm going to hold the link within words. So let's say I have group 1. I'm not going to post that lengthy link there. I'm going to house it within the words. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight group 1, going back to that meet, making sure that's the last thing that I copied. And now I'm going to add that into this text. So I'm just going to right click on that highlighted text. And one of the options is link. And now I'm going to paste that link right under group 1. So now that link is within those words. So when this is sent over to Nearpod in the end, that group 1 will be an active link and students will be able to click on it to go. So you could continue that with all of your groups. It will work. Now, within Google Slides, there is another option to how you could add groups. So I'm going to make another slide. I'll just duplicate this one because I'm going to just change it a little bit. So let's say I wanted to make this be a picture. I don't want it to be words. I want it to be an image that they click on. So let's say now I want it to be, maybe they have a character that is their group, or I want to do it by a specific category of information that we have been studying. So I know I'm teaching CKLA. We've been doing the parts of the body. So maybe I want some group to be talking about the skeletal system, another one the muscular system, another one the nervous system. So I want them to click on images that would represent those different systems. So I'm going to put an image in first. So we're going to go to Insert, Image, and I'm going to search the web. And let's say I want the skeletal system. Okay, so I picked an image that I like.
I'm sorry, ladies. This is your 10-minute warning.
No problem, because we're almost there. Okay, it didn't like that image. Must have been too big. So let's see, maybe this one will work. There it goes. Okay, so it has put that image in place. So now all I need to do is to add on a link that goes with that image. So I'm going to come to that image, and there's a little link button here. So we're going to insert that link just by pasting Control V. And now that link is within here. Now, here's where Nearpod is not very nice. Nearpod will not pick that up when you turn that into a Nearpod at the end. You see where it says save and go to Nearpod? It will not pick up that link. It will just see the picture and just show the picture. I've talked to Nearpod about this. They haven't responded to me, but I did find a workaround. So this is what you need to do so you can have those links be active in a picture. The first thing we're going to do is isolate this slide. So I want it in a Google Slides all by itself. So I'm just going to click on this slide, right click and copy. And I'm just going to start File New, a new presentation. I just want this by itself. So it's going to open one up. I'm going to delete that slide that's there. Control V to put the new slide in. I don't want to link it with the other presentation. So again, that link is still in there, but it's in the image. Now that I have it by itself, I'm going to download this as a PDF. So I'm going to come here, File, Download, PDF document. Once I do that, it's going to drop down here at the bottom of my screen. And I'm going to go back to my Nearpod presentation. But now I'm going to add another item here from Nearpod. This time I'm going to add a PDF. So you can add PDFs right in. So I'm going to go to PDF Viewer. And I can add this PDF. So it's down here at the bottom. I'm just going to drag it and drop it in. There, it's loading. Okay, and now that is a PDF viewer. So now they can click on that link. Once it turns it into a Nearpod, it will work as an active link. That's the only way you get links to work so far that I found that are in images within this way of putting it. So if you like to do your virtual classroom and you want links with inside of it, this will work for that. Doesn't have to be just breakout rooms, any links you want to embed. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We have come very close to our end, so I am going to show you just a couple of things, but we probably won't get to play around with it. So I'm going to go ahead and click to the next slide. So we just talked about that, how we can do the two ways to add the links, the slide or the PDF viewer. So there's two different ways you can make that happen. And here's just those steps so that you can go through that. So how to make those links available to students. You have to isolate the slide with the links, click on File, Download, PDF document, and then you upload that PDF to your Nearpod in Google Slides. Okay, we're not going to do this for time's sake, as well as it might get a little bit messy, but you can see that there are active links, and these are for Google Meets. This is just a way that we were going to share some ideas by clicking on your favorite color. But if you click on that, you'll find out that all of those are active Google Meet links and that you would be able to go in and join that. Now they are set up within Aldine, so if you're not an Aldine member, it would get a little messy too that I'd have to let you in. But just to show you, this is a PDF, what you're seeing right now within Nearpod, and you can see that it changes over to the hand because those are active links that are working. All right. So the last point that we want to make is, I know we've been talking about virtual, but Nearpod can be used for cooperative learning in the classroom too. So this is an image of my students from last year before, when we were all in person. And you can see they are using a Nearpod. This is a field trip. I'm going to let you go on a field trip in just a moment. But there is a way you can add virtual field trips. I'm not going to show you in Nearpod because you'll get sad if you have the free version, because field trip is not an option in the free version. Or you can also add vocabulary videos right inside there too. They are connected, so you do have an option in content to add vocabulary videos. But these kids are going on a field trip and they're sharing ideas to create an anchor chart together. So you can bring it in to work cooperatively in your learning as well in the classroom. Okay, I'm going to let you remember what the classroom looks like though. So I will take you on a virtual field trip. If you have not entered the classroom lately and you're missing what that looks like, here is a virtual field trip. So how this works is you just click and drag and you can go around to this classroom. So you can search all different kinds of virtual field trips. Oh, the mess and all is in this classroom. So just go around and you'll notice that these students are working on different things, that they are cooperatively working in groups. So lots of activity happening here. But just thought you might want to take a field trip to the classroom, especially if you have been missing what it used to be like. So if you want to see how that is added, I do have just a second here to show you. So I'll show you quickly how to add. Just go to add a slide. And your options here under content, you have vocabulary as well as VR field trip. So you can add things in there. Once you click on those, there are search options for you to add in. And then on the Nearpod lesson itself, it works pretty much the same, or the Nearpod for the Google Slides works pretty much the same way. There is the field trip and the vocabulary. They're both there, so you can search them the same way. When you have finished all of this, you just save and go to Nearpod, and it will create it all. So that takes you to the end of where we're at, if there are any questions.
Lynnette, would you please go to the slide with the Twitter handles at the beginning? We have some participants who need to reach out to us for questions.
Sure thing. That's actually the next slide. So I'll just slide right ahead. There we go. So there are our emails as well as our Twitter handles. So you are welcome to reach out to us.
We also had somebody who wanted to see how to get to the whiteboard. So a viewer got lost when we were transferring over to the whiteboard. Maybe the Google form.
Yes, so there was a Google drawing. So I shared a Google drawing within the Nearpod, just the way as I demonstrated how you could share a Google Doc. You can also share a Google drawing. So I can show you from my drive how you can get a Google drawing. So you just go to New, and there's More here, and Google Drawings is one of the options. So it was really a Google drawing. I just used it as a whiteboard. So you would just share the link and put that link as a web content inside your Nearpod. Oh, I want the name first. Okay, well, we can call it. And then you would just change this to anyone with the link. And then you make them editors. So you want to make sure that they're editors also. I think I forgot to say that in the last part. Otherwise, they can't type. And then copy link. And then embed that as a web content.
Okay. And then we had someone ask about how to use this or how it works in Schoology. So maybe if there's questions about that, they can email us. If they're outside of Aldine or if they're using Schoology somewhere else, we can still help them outside of here.
And I'll just quickly say there's two ways to do it. One way is that you can put the link when you create a Nearpod. You can do a live version or a
student-paced.
Thank you, student-paced version. And then you'll get a link. For time's sake, I'm sorry, I can't show all that. But in Nearpod, there is, maybe I can show quick in one I've already made.
You add it under materials. It's like an external tool. So it's doable.
Yes, so you can just add it that way, or there is a
1
way
minute.
to put a Nearpod inside. So Schoology does have that. So if you reach out to us, we'll help you.
And if you, we're less than 1 minute, but they can save the notes of the Nearpod with that little pencil thing, and they can have access to it.
Yes, so at this point, so you don't lose all this information for later, just come to this pencil part, and you can send this whole presentation to yourself via email, to your Google Drive, or to OneDrive, and you will have all of this with everything actively working.
Okay, we have about 15 seconds. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Great job, ladies. Thank you so much for sharing. I love Nearpod, and I know we are big users of Nearpod. Just a reminder, we have sessions starting at the top of every hour. Please also remember, I know they mentioned it in the keynote, but to visit our vendor-led sessions as well. You will receive the certificates via email. If you have not received it from the keynote yet, be patient. They're coming. You will get at least 8 or 9 certificates through email today. Keep track of all the super secret words for every session, okay? With that said, whoops, got excited there. The super secret word of this session is learn. Learn. Yes, it is case sensitive, so please make sure you do capitalize the L in learn, okay? If you have any questions or issues concerning this presentation, remember to reach out to Lynnette and Stephanie. They did a great job, ladies. So with that, you have your super secret word, learn, and we will go to our next sessions. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.